Today we are going to do a tool called pricing models. Much of the material in this tool might be somewhat familiar to a lot of you, particularly those of you who have been in business a long time. I'm sure have practiced the concepts that I'm going to talk about intuitively. Some of you who have been through business schools might have actually seen some of this in your business schools. But few of us intentionally and in a conscious way practice the tool I'm going to talk about. It's called pricing models. When you price a product or a service, and what I'm going to talk about would be apply as well to products that you sell as a manufacturing company or a service that you offer as a service provider. It works, my tool would apply to those who have off the shelf, but probably less for custom quotes or custom bids, as for example an engineering firm might make for a particular contract. But for those of you who have regular standard off the shelf offerings, this model is very useful. Pricing models. There are 4 ways of pricing your product or service: value based pricing, margin based pricing, competitive pricing, and strategic pricing. Let me talk about each one of them. Actually, I'd like to talk about them in a different order than the way I have actually written it. Margin based pricing is the easiest and most commonly used pricing models by most companies because it is very easy to do. Margin based pricing says determine the cost that you're going to incur, the cost of goods sold if you're a manufacturing company. If you're a service firm, the cost associated with delivering the service. Look at the cost, look at your operating expenses that you're going to have to cover, determine what kind of a gross margin you would like to get so that you can cover your operating expenses, and then make sure that in the pricing that you create, you can achieve the gross margin that you are looking for. That's margin based pricing. Make sure you get an adequate margin for your price. It's easy because it's easy for you to do. You don't have to ask anybody else. You have control on the cost. You know how much it costs you. You know what you want to price it at, and you can compute the margin very easily. Competitive pricing is another form that people use, provided you have comparable competitive products that the customer could buy. So if you're a manufacturing company and you offer a product and there's a competitor who offers a very similar product, maybe give or take a little bit, you might look at their price, look at your price, do the additions and subtractions that account for the slight differences, and act as if you were the customer buying this and ask, or do these prices compare reasonably? Are we viewed in a favorable light by the customer when they compare our prices? You would do the same thing as a service provider, though when it comes to a service provider, the comparisons become a bit more difficult. So you usually convince yourself that your competitor is not as good as yourself. After all, you provide much more personalized service. You are much more prompt. You provide real quality. And you convince yourself that your service is actually better, even at the same price. These are commonly used methods for pricing your product or service. Probably the most valuable method to use in pricing a product or service is value based pricing. Value based pricing says, what value does the customer or client receive from this product or service? What value do they receive compared to alternative values they could receive from other places? Probably the best example of value based pricing that we have all witnessed is popcorn at a movie theater. Popcorn at a movie theater is exorbitant, but the value of having a bucket of popcorn when you are sitting at the movie theater is high enough that we are all willing to pay the exorbitant prices for popcorn at a movie theater. The value of popcorn at the movie theater is being capitalized by the movie theater company in their concession stand. In your own product or service, you should ask yourself, what value does our customer receive? Are we charging an adequate amount commensurate with the value that they receive. Because it is difficult to really understand and appreciate the value the customer receives, we tend not to do this, the value-based pricing, very effectively. We don't really consciously do it. We do it somewhat intuitively. But actually writing down and creating a numeric value that we associate with what the customer might think they receive from your product or service allows you then to price your product better. Strategic pricing is equally valuable, but it's much more long term. Probably the best example of strategic pricing is the give away the razor, sell the blades model. Give away the hardware, sell the software model. Give away the phone, sell the subscription for the service in the wireless industry model. These are all strategic pricing models where the vendor has decided that they will give one component of the total product almost for free, because they know that once you're attached to that component, you then have to buy from them the complementary service or product periodically, and that is really where the value is derived for the vendor. That's strategic pricing. But there are other forms of strategic pricing. In your business, you need to be very clear about your strategy for pricing. Is the strategy to acquire new clients so that you can then have a revenue stream for a long time from holding the client, or is the strategy that you will in fact have very many different clients and getting another client is not going to be incentivized by your pricing? These are strategic models of pricing. Let me give you an example from my own company. At Logistyle, we offer workshops. Our workshops are public workshops where you can sign up and you can come to the workshop. They are listed in our websites and our marketing materials. The prices are quoted. We have a strategy that we will not provide individual discounts to people for our workshops, for any of our service. Anytime a customer, a client comes and asks us, can you give us a little lower price on this? Our answer is, we hold to the strategy that we do not provide individual discounts to our clients. Now, we have published discounts for valid reasons. For example, we have discounts for early registration because it allows us to make commitments to hotels and stuff early. So there are published early discounts. There are published volume discounts in certain cases. But outside of the published discounts that anybody can get at whatever times and restrictions that they might imply, we never entertain a discount for an individual client for an individual situation. In fact, so steadfastly do we hold this that we maintain, and this is the part of our strategy, we maintain that if we want to entertain you so badly as a new client, we might actually give you a free subscription to one of our workshops rather than give it to you at a discounted price. The beauty of that is this: when you give somebody something free, they never come back and ask you for another one for free. Whereas when you give somebody some discount, next time over, they want the discount again. The discounting process never stops. You are now coupled to that for the rest of the relationship with that client. Whereas if you gave something for free, which we don't do very often, but occasionally we do, when we give something for free, they realize that there was real cost to this provider. They provided this opportunity for free. They don't ask for it again. Our strategy is to have no discounts. Now, take completely the opposite side. Those of you who live in the US, you might know a retailer called Macy's. Macy's is a department store. They sell all sorts of stuff. I don't think there is a day in 365 days a year when they don't have some sales going on. Everything at Macy's is on sale. Their whole strategy is to make you feel that you got a great deal because you just bought something on sale. In fact, one would wonder, buying something not on sale might be stupid at Macy's. But their strategy is to make you feel like you've accomplished something because you bought something at Macy's on sale. Again, that is their strategy. Understanding what your strategic pricing model is allows you to price your products consistently. This allows for consistency. This allows for understanding the value of the customer. This allows so that you might be able to win the product over your competitor. And finally, this allows you to make money in your business. All four pricing models are useful: value-based pricing, margin-based pricing, competitive pricing, strategic pricing. In fact, whenever you price a product, understand that you have to examine all four models, associate what you think might be the appropriate price for each of those models, and then look at them and then make your decision on how to price your product. Pricing your product is one of the biggest decisions that you make with about your product or service that impacts your profitability. Do it intentionally. Do it rationally. Pricing models. Price your products intentionally.